educators in how to do the making approach in education, and to give institutions the capacity to do so. So the making approach is basically a hands-on approach. It has some relation to constructivist learning, if you've heard of that, but it's basically learning by doing. And learning by doing is a very engaged way of learning and a very strong way to learn deeply. And we, as an organization, try to help educators change their approach to education so that it includes that approach. And we also give, as I said, and you are an integral part of that, to give institutions the capacity to do so. It's a large change for some educational programs, but it's one that brings amazing results for the kids in their learning and their engagement. And so we're 3 years old. We have 3 years old. I'm the executive director, have been since November, or October 27th to be exact. And Lisa's our deputy director. We have 13 people in staff, is that right? Keep adding one, so I'm trying to keep up with it. Including 4 VISTA members here, 2 VISTA leaders and 2 VISTA members.
Yay!
Good job. And then we have director of programs and director of education. We have a communications manager, 2 project managers, and office manager, director of development. So yeah, so we're a growing organization. Just about a year and a half ago, we were only 5 of us, so now there's 13. So we're growing quickly. And so thank you for joining our team, and thanks for doing all the amazing work you're doing. We will be doing. Okay. I'm gonna let Lisa take over from here, and maybe when if there's question and answer, I can come
sure.
on. Yeah.
Yep.
Great. Thanks.
All right. So I'm gonna stand, I think. So I just want to talk to you a little bit more about who we are and what we do. I've been here since almost the beginning. Steve likes to say that he's the person that was here longer than me, and you'll meet Steve soon, but I was the first full-time employee. He was part-time, so that's my edge that I have on him. But you'll get to meet a lot of our staff over the next couple weeks, I'm sure, through your onboarding. But I'm actually, since you're all on your computer, if you could actually pull up makered.org, because I want you guys to get familiar with our website and what we have on there, because I think it's going to be really helpful to you when you're going out into the community. And so I'm going to talk about a lot of things that are on the website, and I was going to make some slides, and I was like, you know what, it would probably just be good for you guys to follow along even on the website if you want to have the text in front of you, just so you know where to go back and get that information if you ever need it, or you forget something about what we do or anything like that. So if you just go to makered.org on your computer, at the top bar there's an About Us page, and that's a lot of what I'm going to talk about today is our organization and who we are and how we got started. And so Trey talked about this a little bit, but there's a tab that we have there all about the history of our organization. And so we were founded in 2012. Dale Doherty, who is the head of a for-profit organization called Maker Media, is one of our main founders, and he's the chair of our board. So Maker Media is the organization that produces Make Magazine, which you might be familiar with, and also runs all the maker fairs. So these big fairs and festivals that happen all over the world, actually, where people come and share what they've made. And a lot of your sites might connect with mini maker fairs that are happening in your local communities as a way to kind of showcase what the youth in the spaces are working on. And so Dale is one of our founders. We also had organizations like Cognizant, Intel, and Pixar that came on board when we first got started and said, okay, we're committing to this. Like, they really saw that making not only was really changing manufacturing and how things work in that sense, but really could have an impact on education. And so those folks got together and said, we want to form a nonprofit that's really dedicated to working on this and bringing this to communities around the country. And so Maker Ed was born. And our first program was Maker Core, and it's a program that we still have today. So that was our only program back in 2012, where we helped train and place young adults to go into different organizations for the summer to work with youth and families doing maker projects. And over the next couple of weeks, you'll learn more about our program, so I won't say too much about it. But since then, we've expanded to lots of other programs, including Maker VISTA, so we're glad that you guys are all here. And I'm going to also just say, please, at any point in time, stop me, ask me a question. If something was unclear, just jump in, raise your hand or something. If you want to interrupt me, I'm just going to kind of go through this stuff. But I welcome your questions, thoughts, whatever. So the next section I want to talk about is under that About Us tab too, but it's who we are. So if you're ever out in the community and you're talking to someone and they maybe don't know what Maker Ed is, we have a little video that's on there called Who is Maker Ed? And it kind of talks through and shows through a lot of the educators and sites that we work with a bit about what we do. And so I encourage you to use that video. It's a nice way to send someone to it and just gives them an overview of what Maker Ed is in a broad sense. So that's on the Who We Are section of that About Us page. So that's that first video up there. As Trey talked about too, our vision is really every child a maker. We think that every child is born a maker and a creator, and when they go through life, sometimes in the educational system, that creativity gets stifled a little bit, and we want to find ways to kind of keep it going and keep it flourishing as children grow and learn. And so how to kind of create these lifelong learners and keep that curiosity alive. So that's the vision of our organization. And under that section too, we also have a whole, if you click on it, we've got our values and our strategy. And so I'm going to talk a little bit through those as well, because as an organization, we really value and put emphasis on certain things. And one is access for all. So there's actually a lot of kind of conversations going on in the community that, maybe not all makerspaces are open and accessible to everyone. And we really are here to help change that. So we believe that the spaces should be open to everyone, that everyone should have access to the opportunity to have these creative learning experiences. And it's part of one of the big reasons that we have VISTA as a program here, because you guys are working in the hearts of amazing communities that where kids might not normally have access to these types of opportunities. And so you're doing really important work for us and the values of our organization, and VISTA just fits in beautifully there, because we really want to focus on underserved communities and get to the kids whose parents aren't going to take them to a maker club or to a maker camp or to a summer program, right? We want those kids to all have the opportunity to be their best creative selves. Our second value is about transformation of education. So we really think that making can have a transformative impact on our educational system and how we think about learning. And so a lot of the work that we do as an organization is a bit of advocacy work, kind of, talking to folks. We're in Washington, D.C. quite often. Trey just got back, which is why I was a little groggy still from DC coast to coast flying, but we're talking to folks at the White House, Office of Science, Technology, and Policy. President Obama is really passionate about STEM education and really interested actually in the work that we do as an organization. So don't be surprised if we ever say that we need something from you for President Obama. That's not something that is something that might actually happen during your term here. So but they definitely want to showcase the great work that's happening around the country, and there's a big emphasis on STEM education, as a pathway to careers and improving our economy. So we do a lot of work in that sense, just to show the transformative power that making can have across education. The third value we have is collaboration and community. So again, another role that we really serve as an organization is to help connect people. And I actually think of our VISTA as like the ultimate community connectors. I mean, you're really out there on the ground. You're going to be connecting your site to other sites there, connecting them to us. And that's what we're about. People call us and say, I'm a small library, in Kansas. Are there any other small libraries trying to do this in a rural setting? And we help kind of facilitate this and connect people together. And we're working on making that a little more automated. One resource that we have on our website that you should be familiar with is a directory. So we do have an online directory on our site that where you can kind of type in your zip code and you can see what other maker programs are happening in your community. So that can be really valuable. So if you're out there and someone's like, hey, are there any other maker programs going on here? That's kind of the first place to look. You can just hop on the website. I'll show you where it is in a minute, but and kind of find other programs near you. And we're also looking to kind of build out a greater online community too, so folks can really connect online, as well as in-person events. So a lot of what we do is have like a big convening. We'll bring educators from all around the country together to talk about what they're doing and really help kind of push this movement forward in education. Our next value on there is diversity of approaches. So one of the really cool things about making and maker education is that there's no right way to do it. There's no wrong way to do it. So there's so many different ways that you can approach it. And so it's really adaptable. It really can be used in a lot of different kinds of spaces. It can be a space that's devoted to art. It can be a space that's devoted to digital technologies. There's all these entry points and access points to making, and it really fits the needs of the community. So, you know, if you have a community where the kids are really into gaming and coding, and then your space might have more of a digital focus, and then through that space, you can introduce kids to other types of topics through that. But that, you know, whatever the hook is might be different in every community and how you get kids involved. And it's really that facilitator, educator's role to help kind of guide folks to learn and experience new and different things. And so we just think that's really important to create a really open environment that you walk in. There's a lot of different ways that you can learn in a space. There's a lot of different types of activities that you could gravitate towards to help lead you to different types of learning, and that we really celebrate that diversity. And so it's not that, you know, this is a makerspace and this isn't, but how is your space a makerspace? You know, tell us how that is. And our final value is on engagement in learning. So we really think that, you know, by supporting educators, that we really give kids this like lifelong love of learning I was talking about before, that we want to get them engaged. We want them to just become passionate about wanting to know. And it's great if they become an engineer or a scientist, but it's also great if they're passionate about being a mechanic or sewing or whatever it is, right? But just to really kind of drive that love of learning and wanting to learn on their own is a big part of what we believe and we want to help kids succeed in. And then the last section on that page is about our strategy, and I just wanted to talk through that a little bit too, just so you know how we work as an organization. Any questions, thoughts, ideas? A lot of talking heads, so just want to pause for a second. I got a thumbs up, so it's good. All right, so our strategy, we kind of have these four main parts, and Trey alluded to it, and I just wanted to dive a little bit deeper into each one. One is professional development. So we as Maker Ed, we do not work directly with youth here. So we really work at that level of educators. So we're here to help serve the educators and serve organizations like the organizations where you're placed to do their work. And so we provide a lot of professional development for, this could be teachers in a school, it can be a librarian, it could be a Girl Scout troop leader, anyone who's there facilitating an experience with youth is kind of our audience for that. We do both online and in-person types of professional development. So in-person events we might have and bring people together. A lot of times people kind of request that we just did a series of workshops with the United States Patent and Trademark offices who wanted to kind of get their word out. So sometimes we partner with different organizations to do in-person events. But we also do a lot of online training through various programs like VISTA, through MakerCore, other programs that you'll hear about and you'll learn more about in the upcoming weeks. So, and we're really trying to develop out that professional development online as well. Our second bullet is on networking community. So I talked a little bit about it in our values as well, but you know, we just think it's so important that people are here to support each other, because there is no exact roadmap that you follow to set up your makerspace and to get this working in your community. What's most valuable is that people are talking to each other and they're sharing their challenges and their successes and things that work for them, and that we're sharing models of how things are working in one community or another. And so, you know, there's no exact recipe, exact cookbook for how this is going to work, but that's why it can be sustainable. It's really tailored to what's going on in each and every community, and that's what we're really here to help promote and nurture and help people feel supported and find others that they can connect with. Capacity building is our third bullet, and you all play a major role in that for us and helping us you know, hold true to that part of our strategy. So, I mean, that's what this is all about, right? You're there to be capacity builders for these organizations, and that's what we as an organization, that's why we love VISTA and why it's such a big, important part of what we do here, is that we feel like it's such a great way to help build capacity of organizations around the country to do this work. You know, people can find, you know, educators and folks to come in and makers to come in and help facilitate these experiences for youth, but the behind the scenes stuff is the most important part. You know, you guys are helping to build the foundation that's going to keep these organizations going, and it's going to keep that programming going for years to come. And it's, you know, sometimes the work that's overlooked, this capacity building work, you know, help building these foundations and these structures, but it's so important. It's just the most important work, and you know, we can't thank you enough for being a big part of that, because we know, and anyone that's run any other small nonprofit knows, that it's just the most important thing to keep things sustained. And our last thing is on model sharing and building. So, you know, these things overlap a lot and connect, but really, you know, what we try to do is learn from what's happening in this greater community and take it and build some models that we can share back out. So one example of that is on the last section of the About Us page, there's a bullet on impact. And on impact, we have another video that you might want to use in talking about it. So we have a little story of some young makers and their journey and what making has meant to them. So if you ever are out there and you know, someone's like, hey, what is this making thing and what impact does it have on youth? That's a great video to show as well. So keep that one in mind on the impact page. We have some reports on there, but we have a case study on there as well, and it was actually about MakerCore and Maker Vista. But you know, we looked at a city, we looked at Pittsburgh and how these programs worked in Pittsburgh as a model for other communities and what they could learn from Pittsburgh. So that's one example of kind of how we build models and shape them and kind of send them back out to the larger community. One other thing I wanted to just point out on our site, and then I'll open it up to any other global questions or anything that you guys have, so start thinking of good things. But is on the top hand side, we have the resource library. So I just wanted you to click on that tab for a second. The resource library is another place that we're kind of doing this model sharing bit. So basically, all of these areas of this resource library are different links and PDFs that were created mainly by other sources other than MakerEd, but we're trying to share out with the broader community. So we're like, this is a great document on how to get started in your space, and so it's, you know, under the getting started section. So we have, this is a great thing to refer people to. It's a great thing for you if you're, you know, kind of struggling with something, or I want to know a little bit more about what kind of maker projects or things or learning approaches are out there, is definitely to peruse this resource library. The contribute section is also where our current online community is. So if, you know, you're talking to educators and folks out in the community and they say, hey, how can I connect with others? Sending them to this resource library and that community, which is right there through Contribute, is a great way for them to get involved and start chatting with others online that are doing this work. And one thing just to note, in the Spaces and Places section is going to be launching in about 2 weeks. So definitely come back on the resource library the 23rd of September, right before New York Maker Fair. That section is going to launch. It's going to have a whole bunch of resources on maker spaces, how to get them started. We're actually creating a whole guide around youth maker spaces and some tips for facilitation in those spaces and how to approach learning in those spaces. And so definitely keep an eye out for that, and we hope that you'll be referring to people in the community to come to that as well. So it's a big part of what we do, like how do we kind of collect what's happening in the community and make it available in like a one-stop shop for folks to come to and find. And that directory that I mentioned too, of where you find your spaces, that's on that resource library page as well. So there's the pink box, that's the directory, and that's where you can go in, you can type, you can put your state or your postal code and find other programs. And you definitely please encourage other programs that you're connecting with to sign up on the directory too, so that's how they can be known when other people search. So there's a whole way to sign up there on that page. And if you ever have any questions about any of that kind of stuff, please, we're always here for you. We want to support you in any way possible. So that's the main stuff I wanted to go through today. I'm open to any questions about anything, I mean, other what I talked about, or you know, anything at all that you might have. Concerns, worries, excitement. Thumbs up, those are good.
I guess I would like to add something.
Sure.
My name is Montana, and I'm working with Victor at the Ravenswood School District in East Palo Alto, and we're creating a makerspace playbook just for our school district there, and we're also developing, or I'm developing, a series of illustrations for the playbook, and I was interested in kind of expanding that for the for maker education, just beyond our school district, just to encourage creativity and make the playbook more colorful. So I'm not sure if this is the appropriate venue to ask about that, but I wanted to know if you're open to that.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I mean, we should definitely talk more, and you know, if you have any drafts or anything of what you guys have. I think we've talked to Robert Provenos a little bit in putting together the category for the resource library, but we'd love to include it in the resource library, you know, once you get it finished, or if there's any way we can kind of collaborate on what you're doing and help you out, and, you know, help support that. That would be great.
Great. Okay. Yes, I have my first illustration for the playbook in progress here, but it's not finished yet, so I haven't uploaded it.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely let me know. I'm just Lisa at makered.org, so you can feel free to reach out to me. Steve Davey is our main project manager for that project, but I can, you know, I'm working on it as well, and I can connect you with him.
Great. Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, are there any other questions? Comments?
It's a lot to absorb. You just went through PSO and got a lot to absorb, and now we're like, and learn all this stuff too. So I know it's a lot to absorb, but please know that we're here for you. We know that, you know, it'll take some time for everything to sink in, and definitely, like I said, I'm Lisa at makered.org. I mean, obviously you've got the VISTA support here too, but don't ever hesitate to reach out to any of us. You'll meet a lot of our staff over the time, but we really, you know, we're really invested in wanting you to succeed in your VISTA positions, and so if there's any way we can support you or provide some information or anything, or you're working on a project, you know, just like Montana said, that you know, you want to connect with us, please use us in that way too. We don't want you to reinvent the wheel. We don't want to reinvent the wheel. So, you know, we all want to work together and support each other in the best way possible.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa.
Yeah, thank you all.
Yes, thank you very much.
Turn it back over to Kelsey.
Presenting, and maybe we can get a thumbs up from everybody instead of a round of applause, since that seems to be the trend here. Maker Ed and the Maker Vista project really like thumbs up.
It's good. It's good way on the Hangout to know, because sometimes you're talking to everybody and you're going, are they asleep? What's happening over there? So it's good to know everyone's with us still.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. That was wonderful. It was great having all of you. So I will post this on the Google Plus community. So if you want to refer back to this video and need to process some information, feel free to email me if you have any questions, or Lisa gave out her email address. So if you have any more questions, feel free to email her. Well,
thanks, everyone. Thanks for being a Vista.
have a wonderful day.